Welcome back to the Leading Yourself podcast. Today's episode is very special. We're going to be talking about something that I hold very, very close to my heart, something that started as a birthday, I'll call it Plan B, and turned into a beautiful, meaningful tradition that's changed not only my life, but the lives of hundreds of others. And that is the Thrive Conference. We announced it's out. The theme this year is Elevate. And in this episode, I want to unpack what that really means to elevate your life, why it matters now more than ever, and how can you start elevating your life today in ways that are grounded, personal, and powerful. So whether you're sipping on your coffee, you're on a walk, you're folding your laundry, or just catching your breath between meetings, welcome to this episode and let's dive in. Welcome to the Leading Yourself podcast. This is your host, Carolina de Arriba. I'm an HR professional, coach, wife, mom, and above all things, a goal-getter. In this podcast, we're going to be digging into all things leadership, professional and career development, habits, and relationships. This is a podcast for those who want to become the best version of themselves. Those who have big dreams and are willing to embrace the journey and put in the work to achieve them. My goal is to share with you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you in your journey. So let's dig into today's episode. Let me take you back to 2021. We were deep into the second year of the pandemic. So many things were uncertain. Plans have been canceled. And for me, something deeply personal had been taken off the table. That year, I was getting ready to celebrate a big milestone birthday. I had envisioned it for so long. My family was going to come from Spain. We were going to celebrate together. We were going to have a house full of joy. You know, one of those moments that feels like chapters in your life. That was supposed to be one of those. But as many of you might remember, international borders were still closed, so my family couldn't travel. That celebration that I had imagined for months, maybe over a year, it wasn't going to happen. I was heartbroken. And if I am being honest, I was a little bit in a funk. It felt unfair. I had been looking forward for that moment for so long. We hadn't seen our family now in 2019. And that was one of the things that gave me the most anxiety during the pandemic, how long we couldn't see the people that we love because we live in different continents. Anyways, now I was left with a quiet, empty calendar and a whole lot of disappointment. But there is a thing about me, and if you know me, you've most likely have seen this side of me. I don't stay down for long. I believe in asking better questions when things don't go as planned. So instead of sitting in that disappointment, I asked myself a very simple but very powerful question. What could I do to make this birthday memorable anyways? At first, I thought maybe I'll attend a virtual conference. A lot of the people that I admire had moved their events online. It was a thing during the pandemic, and I always have wanted to go to one of those events. So why not fill the weekend of my birthday, that week, that month, with something inspiring? And as I said, I've been wanting to go to one of these conferences for a very long time, and I hadn't. Well, I'm lying, because right at the very beginning of the pandemic, on March of 2020, when the pandemic was declared a pandemic, I was in Toronto with a friend attending Rachel Hollis' Rise conference. And it was the most amazing experience. We had to come back, or we decided to come back before the conference was over, because that's when we found out about what was going on with COVID. We were starting to hear about it. We wasn't sure what it was. What we knew is that we walk the entire city of Toronto, store by store, looking for hand sanitizer, and it was nowhere to be found. Anyways, I thought that could be an idea to join a virtual conference, but then an idea sparked, a really wild one. What if I hosted my own event? Now, keep in mind, I had never hosted a virtual event before. I had no blueprint, no guest speakers, no tech setup, no plan, just a vision, a feeling, a spark that wouldn't leave me alone. I couldn't stop thinking about it. This was 2020, right? Like, we haven't even moved into the Zooms and Teams era yet, though we used it, but we didn't leverage it in the way that we do now. So I had literally no idea about how I was going to pull this off. But I did something that held me accountable. I share it publicly. I remember going to all my social media platforms, to LinkedIn and Facebook and everywhere. And I told people that I was going to host this incredible virtual event. I didn't have all the answers, or I didn't have any answers, but I did have the energy, the excitement, the pull. And that's how Thrive was born. It was never about throwing a perfect conference. It was about turning a moment of personal disappointment into something bigger than me. It was about making space for connection, for learning, for joy, for growth at a time when the world felt heavy and disconnected. I figured it out as I went. I did ask for help a couple of times. I learned fast. And that first Thrive conference, it turned into one of the most meaningful weeks of my year. And definitely a birthday that I will always remember, and evokes this high energy and amazing feeling. Since then, Thrive has become a tradition. Every year on my birthday, instead of a party, I host a virtual conference. Now, that first year was amazing. It was a 3-day conference. I had at least 6 keynote speakers that joined me, that now looking back, I'm like, how did I even got these people to speak at this event? Like, no one knew me. I had never done this. And I had speakers that today will charge thousands of dollars, if not tens of thousands of dollars, to speak at events. And they did it for free. They did it for Thrive. And I'm always going to be so deeply grateful for everyone who has been part of Thrive since it started. And since then, and over the years, Thrive has grown, has evolved. It's become more than just a virtual event. It's become a space for reflection and vision and energy and belonging. I've had the honor of hosting renowned speakers, authors, coaches, thought leaders, and welcoming hundreds of incredible humans all around the world into this community. Thrive is where we come back to ourselves. It's where we elevate. And this year, we're going to do it again. So Thrive 2025 is just around the corner. And the theme for this year is one that's been echoing through every area of my life this year, and it's elevate. Actually, elevate is my word for 2025. If you know, you know, but every year I choose a word for the year. And my word of this year is elevate. Just like Thrive was the word of the year for 2021. And we're going to be gathering again a global community of ambitious, growth-oriented people on a powerful 5-day lineup of inspiring sessions, practical tools, and real conversations. The topics of the conference include energy and well-being, mindset, career and leadership, wealth, and life reinvention. And, why elevate? Because we're not here to stay stuck. We're not here to settle. We're here to grow, not just by doing more, but by raising into the version of ourselves that feels more true, more grounded, and more fully alive. So in today's episode, I want to unpack what elevate your life actually means. I'll walk you through The 3 core pillars we'll explore at Thrive in a way. As I said, the topics, we have 5 topics on the conference: energy, mindset, career, wealth, and life. Each day, we're going to tackle one of those. It's not a full day. It's not 5 full day conference. The feedback that I've got in the past is like carving out a full day or 2 full days for a conference is really hard. So we're doing shorter sessions on the afternoons of every single day. And I'm going to put a link to the website of the conference on the show notes of this podcast episode so you can see all the information that there is there. The other thing that is worth mentioning is that this event over the years has always been free. Always. And I always had an option for people to make donations that would go to a particular charity, a different one every year. This year, the event is going to cost $1. So for $1, you get access to the full event. But there's also upgrade options. And here's the thing with Thrive. The conference is not designed as an income maker, but rather an impact maker. So all the proceeds from the conference, we every year donate to a charity or multiple charities of the choice of our speakers. So I cannot afford having the caliber of people that speak at Thrive every year. So the way of paying it back is I let them choose a charity of their choosing, and any proceeds that we made with the event, we donate to those charities. So it's a double impact event, and that's been something so fulfilling. So anyways, back to today's episode. I mentioned I want to unpack what elevate your life actually means, and we're going to talk about 3 pillars: mindset, energy, and impact. And I'm going to share practical ways to start elevating those areas right now. And if by the end of this episode, something inside you feels lit up, curious, or pulled to go deeper, I hope that you'll join us this year at Thrive. So let's dive into the first pillar, mindset. Mindset isn't a new buzzword. We've all heard it before, but here's the truth. If you're going to elevate any area of your life, it all starts between your ears. It starts with the stories that we tell ourselves, the beliefs that we carry, both the loud ones and the quiet, sneaky ones that run in the background. And I want to be real with you. Elevating your mindset doesn't mean thinking positive 24/7. It doesn't mean ignoring hard things or gaslighting yourself into good vibes only. It means becoming aware of what's driving you, what's helping you rise, and what's quietly holding you back. I've learned this the hard way. There have been seasons where I've had the strategy, the tools, the resources, but my mindset wasn't there. I was going through the motions, doing all the things, achieving, producing, but under the surface, I was questioning myself, second guessing, playing small in subtle ways. And here's the kicker. It didn't always look like self-doubt. Sometimes it looked like overworking. Sometimes it looked like constantly chasing the next thing without stopping to celebrate what I had already done. Sometimes it looked like comparing myself to others online, even when I knew better. That's the thing about mindset. It's not just about confidence or motivation. It's about awareness, about catching the thought patterns that are no longer serving you and upgrading them in real time. Here's a prompt that I've been coming back to lately and one that I'll be sharing at Thrive, and is this. What is one belief I'm holding right now that is keeping me stuck at the same level? Because mindset is a ceiling or a launch pad. And the beautiful thing, you get to decide which one it is. And let's be clear, elevating your mindset doesn't mean flipping a switch and suddenly thinking like Beyonce. It's about small, intentional upgrades. Let me give you a few examples of what that might look like in real life. So one switch is from I have to do it all to I get to choose what matters most. So many of us are running on autopilot, doing all the things, saying yes to everything, feeling stretch. But when you elevate your mindset, you realize just because you can doesn't mean you should. You get to choose, and that choice is so powerful. Another shift is from I'm behind to I'm building. That's a big one because the moment you feel behind, we act from urgency. And urgency rarely leads to aligned decisions. When we shift from chasing to building, your energy changes. You stop reacting and you start leading. Another example, going from I'm not ready to I'm becoming. That voice of imposter syndrome, the one that says, who am I to do this? We all hear it. But the mindset shift is this: you don't have to be perfect to start. You just have to be present. Every single step you take is part of the becoming. At Thrive, we'll go deeper into these mindset shifts. We'll explore how to rewire the way you think, not with fluffy affirmations, but with tools that help you make clear, aligned decisions, that help you move forward without the constant pressure to be more, do more, and prove more. Because here's what I've learned. Your mindset is either a megaphone for your potential or a mute button. And the shift doesn't come from massive change overnight. It comes from daily micro decisions, tiny reframes, honest self-check-ins, and the courage to rewrite the script in real time. That's what elevating your mindset looks like. It's not about perfection. It's about perspective. It's about asking better questions. It's about choosing your thoughts with intention because your thoughts shape your actions, your energy, and ultimately your life. Now, before we move on to the next pillar, I want to leave you with this. You don't need a new version of yourself to start thinking differently. You just need awareness, intention, and practice. Elevating your mindset isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you are without the noise, the doubt, or the conditioning that told you you couldn't. And that's the kind of growth that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels good in the inside. Okay, let's keep going. Now let's talk about one of my favorite pillars because I believe it's one of the most underrated when it comes to transformation, and that is energy. Not just physical energy, although that's part of it, but your overall energetic presence, the way you show up, the vibe you carry, the fuel that drives your day, your goals, your relationships. Because here's the truth. You can have the clearest goals, the best strategy, the most beautiful crafted plan. But if your energy is off, it's like trying to run a marathon on an empty tank. And for many of us, especially in this high performance, always on culture, we're running low without even realizing it. Let me tell you about a season in my life that really made this clear to me. It was a season where on paper, I had it all together. I had hit big goals. I was in a role I had worked hard for. I was running my podcast, showing up for my family, doing all the quote unquote right things. But inside, I felt exhausted. Not just like tired, not like I need to sleep more tired. I mean drained. I was going through the days, but not living in them. I was showing up, but I wasn't lit up. And I started to realize I wasn't paying attention to my energy. I was managing my time, I was managing my responsibilities, but not managing me. And that for me was a wake-up call. So when we talk about elevating our energy, we're talking about 4 key areas. Number 1 is physical energy. This one's obvious, but so often ignored. Let me ask you this. How are you fueling your body? How are you moving? How are you sleeping? I'm not here to prescribe a perfect routine, but I will say this. Your body is your vehicle for everything that you want to do. If you're constantly running on caffeine, skipping meals, pushing through exhaustion, you're not operating at your highest level. You're surviving, but you're not thriving. One of the smallest but most powerful shifts that I've made in my life is protecting my mornings. I no longer wake up and immediately go into reactive mode. I've created a morning rhythm to check in with myself, to hydrate, to work out, to set intentions. It's been a game changer for me. When you protect your energy first thing in the day, everything else flows differently. Number 2 is your emotional energy. Let's be honest, carrying emotional weight is exhausting. Whether it's unspoken resentment, whether it's people pleasing, whether it's boundary guilt or constant comparison, it all drains you. Even if you're doing all the right things, if you're constantly emotionally leaking, you're not going to feel your best. This was a game changer for me. I started paying attention to that and who gave me energy and what drained it. And I started asking, how do I feel after this conversation, after this meeting, after scrolling for 15 minutes, after doing my workout? And I gave myself permission to adjust. You can't elevate your energy if you're constantly giving it away to things that don't matter or are not aligned. Sometimes protecting your energy means saying no to good things so you have the capacity to do the right things. The third category is mental energy. Mental clutter is real. Overthinking, overplanning, replaying old stories, it all takes up space. How many times have you spent more energy thinking about doing something that it would have taken to just do it? Yeah, me too. Mental energy, it's all about clarity and focus. It's about creating systems that support your brain, not drain it. Here's a simple practice I've used every Sunday night or Monday morning. I write down my top 3 priorities for the week. Not tasks, but results. Then each day I identify just one thing that moves me towards one of those priorities. This keeps me from chasing a million little things and helps me stay grounded in what matters. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what actually counts. And the fourth pillar is a spiritual energy. This one's personal. For me, it's about staying connected to something deeper and bigger. Call it intuition, faith, purpose, whatever resonates with you. It's that sense of alignment that reminds you why you're here, why what you do matters, why you keep going when things are hard. When I'm disconnected from this part of myself, everything feels heavier. But when I take a few minutes to reflect, to journal, to pray, to meditate, or even just breathe with intention, I feel recentered. Spiritual energy is about remembering that you're not doing this alone, that you're part of something bigger, and that your presence matters. Here's what I want you to know. When you elevate your energy, you elevate your capacity. You elevate how you lead, how you connect, how you create. You start to move through the day with more clarity, more peace, and more power. And you don't have to overhaul your life to do it. You just need to start paying attention. Start asking, what gives me energy? What drains it? What would it look like to protect and amplify my energy this week? Because the truth is, energy isn't infinite, but it's renewable. And when you learn how to renew your energy on purpose, you don't just perform better. You feel better, you live better. And that's what we're going to dig deeper into together at Thrive. Now, let's talk about elevating your habits. This is a big one, maybe the most underestimated driver of change. Your habits. We love to talk about mindset, vision, strategy, and all those things matter. But at the end of the day, it's your habits that shape your outcomes. That's what makes this pillar so foundational, I would say. Because here's the thing. You don't raise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Let me repeat that one more time. You don't raise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And habits are the daily systems that build or break your momentum. Let me take you back to a time in my life where I had big goals and even bigger intentions, but I was frustrated. I felt stuck. I couldn't figure out why. I wasn't seeing the results that I wanted. On the surface, I was doing all the things, waking up early, trying to eat clean, listening to personal development podcasts. But underneath that, my habits were scattered. I was being reactive with my time. I wasn't evaluating what was actually working. I was checking boxes more than building alignment. I was stuck in what I now call habit autopilot, doing things because I used to believe they work, because someone said I should do them, because it made me feel productive, but not necessarily effective. That's when I decided to elevate, not overhaul, my habits. I asked, what's one habit I could fine tune this week? Not rebuild, not scrap, but optimize. And that small shift changed everything. Because elevating your habits, it's not about adding more. It's about being more intentional with what you already do and align those actions with who you want to become. Let's break this down into 3 habit shifts you can make right now to elevate how you live and how you lead. Number 1, audit your automatic habits. Most of us have dozens of micro habits we don't even think about. Scrolling on our phones first thing in the morning, eating lunch at our desk, saying yes when we mean maybe. So the first step, awareness. Start by observing yourself without judgment. What do your current habits say about your priorities, your energy, your mindset? Here's a prompt I use in my journal. What habits are supporting the life I want and which ones are sabotaging it? You don't need to change everything today, but you do need to start noticing, because once you bring a habit into your awareness, you gain the power to change it. Number 2, elevate through intention, not intensity. What do I mean by this? We often think that better habits means going harder, waking up at 5 a.m., meal prepping for 6 days, working out 7 times a week. But real transformation rarely happens through intensity. It happens through consistency. Instead of going all in for 2 weeks and burning out, ask yourself, what's one small habit I can do consistently for 30 days? Maybe it's writing your top 3 priorities every morning. Maybe it's taking a 10-minute walk after lunch. Maybe it's charging your phone outside of your bedroom and reclaiming your mornings. When you focus on mastering one habit at a time, you build momentum that makes the next habit even easier. Number 3, attach habits to identity. This one is a game changer. If you want your habits to stick, they have to be about more than what you do. They have to connect with who you are becoming. Here's what I mean. Don't just set a goal to run 3 times a week. Say, I'm someone who honors my body and builds endurance. Don't just journal once. Say something like, I'm someone who creates space for reflection and growth. Don't just go to bed early. Instead, say, I'm someone who protects her energy so I can show up fully. Habits are not just actions, they're boats for your identity. If you want to elevate your habits, start with who you want to be and let your actions cast boats for the person that you want to become every single day. Okay, if you have read Atomic Habits, you know a lot of the things I'm talking about today are part of this book, which is, by the way, one of the top 2 books that have most impacted my life. So if you haven't read this book, you have to, or Come to Thrive. We're not going to have a session on habits per se. Habits are going to be spread throughout Thrive in each of the days. We're going to talk about habits related to your energy, your mindset, your career, your wealth, and your life. Okay, so back to what I was sharing with you. Let me tell you what happened when I started doing these 3 things for myself. I stopped chasing routines that look good on Instagram, and I started building habits that felt good in my life. I stopped comparing my systems to other people's, and I started building ones that actually work for me in my season, in my rhythm, aligned with my values. And you know what happened? I got more focused, more grounded, and more effective. And that feeling, that sense of forward momentum and clarity, that's what I want for you. Here are a few questions to help you elevate your habits this week. 3 questions. Number 1, what's one habit that's quietly draining me right now? Number 2, what's one habit that could fuel me more if I brought attention to it? And number 3, who am I becoming? And what would that version of me do today? Here's the thing. You don't need to change everything. You just need to elevate the things that matter most. Because those small daily actions, they compound. They shape your results. They shape your experience. They shape you. So if you've been feeling stuck, scattered, or like your habits aren't getting you where you want to go, this is your invitation. Don't try to do more. Try to do better with clarity, with alignment, with purpose. Because when your habits align with your identity, your goals stop feeling like a grind and start feeling like growth. And that is the kind of transformation we'll be deep diving into at Thrive. Okay, let's wrap this up with what I believe is the engine behind everything that we've talked about today: your vision. Elevating your life, your habits, your mindset. None of it sticks without a compelling vision pulling you forward. This is more than just setting goals. This is about defining a future that feels so clear and so meaningful that it influences how you show up today. Because here's what I've learned. When your vision is clear, your decisions get easier. You stop overthinking every move. You stop questioning your path every time you hit resistance. You stop chasing what looks good to others and start building what feels right to you. Every year before planning the Thrive conference, I go through a personal ritual. I close my eyes and I ask myself, what do I want this year to feel like? Not what do I want to do, but who do I want to be? What does that version of me prioritize? What does she believes about herself? What does her day looks like? That process helps me reset my internal GPS. Because a vision isn't about someday. It's about today. It's about reverse engineering the life you want and taking small, aligned steps towards it now. That's why one of the pillars of Thrive is this exact invitation to get clear on where you're headed and, more importantly, who you're becoming. So how do you elevate your vision? Here are 3 ways to get started. Number 1, you stop outsourcing your direction. If your goals are based on what others expect of you, your boss, your partner, your friends, social media, you'll keep building a life that feels impressive but empty. You have to take your power back and ask yourself, what do I want my life to look like? What kind of work energizes me? What kind of relationship do I want to build? How do I want to feel at the end of the day? Don't wait for clarity to fall in your lap. Create it by getting radically honest with yourself. Number 2, define success in your own terms. This is something we talk about every year at Thrive because success is personal. For some, success is starting a business. For others, is creating more space for personal things. For you, maybe it's finally getting that promotion and having dinner with your family every night. There is no one-size-fits-all version. So stop measuring your progress against someone else's blueprint. Instead, ask, what does success feel to me? Let that answer guide your decisions, and don't be afraid if your answer shifts as your seasons change. That's not failure, that's evolution. And 3, break it down into the next bold move. A big vision can feel overwhelming, but here's what I've seen time and time. When you anchor your vision in small intentional action, you build momentum. You don't have to know every step. You just need to know the next one. Maybe it's reaching out to that person you admire. Maybe it's blocking time for a passion project. Maybe it's finally giving yourself permission to change course. What matters most is that you move, that you vote for your future self with an action today. Let me tell you something personal. When I hosted the very first Thrive, I had zero clue how to put this together this virtual conference, right? I had never done anything like this before. I didn't have a team. I didn't have a roadmap, but I had a vision of people coming together, of people feeling reconnected with their goals, with themselves, with their power, a vision of turning what could have been a lonely birthday during the pandemic into something unforgettable. That vision pulled me through the uncertainty. It pulled me to figure things out, to get curious, to learn things that I never thought I would learn, to ask for help, to try, to fail, to learn, to adjust, and to grow in the process. And now that single vision has turned into a tradition, one that I'm incredibly proud of. So when I talk about elevating your vision, I'm not talking about fantasy. I'm talking about doing the work to name what you want and then building the courage to pursue it step by step. Here's my invitation for you. Take some time this week to reflect in these 3 questions. Number 1, what kind of life am I building right now? Number 2, what kind of person do I want to become in the next year? And number 3, what small shifts could bring me into closer alignment with that vision of myself? Don't worry if it feels messy or incomplete. The point is not perfection, it's direction. So, as we wrap up today's episode, let's bring it all back to this year's Thrive theme: elevate. To elevate your mindset, your habits, your relationships, your vision, your wealth, your career, your life, it doesn't mean doing more. It means doing differently. It means living with more presence, with more clarity, and with more purpose. It means asking more powerful questions, choosing intention over autopilot, letting go of what's not longer aligned and stepping fully into what is. It means giving yourself permission to grow and surrounding yourself with people who are doing the same. And that, my friend, is exactly what Thrive is all about. Thrive isn't just an event, it's a reset, it's a moment to pause, to reflect, and realign with the person that you are becoming. Every year, this virtual gathering brings together incredible people from all over the world, people who are ambitious in the best way, introspective, creative, heart-led, and committed to their own evolution and growth. This year's theme is Elevate, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to elevate your mindset through real stories, inspiring speakers, and powerful reframes that will change the way that you think about what's possible. You're going to elevate your habits with practical, actionable tools you can use immediately to upgrade how you show up in your day-to-day life. We're going to elevate your goals by reconnecting with your why and learning how to pursue what matters most without burnout or people pleasing. And we are definitely going to elevate your energy, because sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is pour back into yourself and come home to your own vision. You'll hear from an incredible lineup of guest speakers. I'm working on finalizing that lineup, and I will be announcing who those people are. But I'm so inspired. I have reached to a few. Some have already come back and confirmed that they will be at Thrive. And I can't be more excited for you to learn from them, to get inspired by them. And I'm even more excited that you will walk away not just motivated, but equipped with tangible takeaways, with journal prompts, with new ideas, with fresh perspectives. And it's all happening virtually, which means you can show up from your living room, your backyard, your favorite coffee shop, wherever you are, as you are. What makes Thrive really special, it's the energy, the people, the stories, the way you'll leave feeling like you've just spent a few hours with people who get you, people who are also choosing to grow, to question, to elevate. So if you're craving that spark again, if you're ready to stop coasting and start building with intention, if you want to feel reconnected to your purpose, to your potential, and your people, join us at Thrive 2025. You can grab a ticket today. Tickets are limited. So I would encourage you to do it right now. Again, you can join for just $1. And there's also a couple of upgrade options if you want access to replays and beautiful digital workbook and guided prompts and all that thing. I would love to see your name on the guest list. And even more, I would love to spend that week with you. So take a moment right now and ask yourself, what would it look like to elevate your life? You don't need to do it alone. We'll meet you there. Okay, my friend, that's all I've got for you today. But before you go, 2 quick reminders. Number 1, if we're not already friends on Instagram, let's get connected. You can find me as Leading Yourself Podcast. Number 2, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am incredibly grateful that you're in this journey with me. I want to leave you with one last thought. I want to remind you that you're destined for more and that every step that you take brings you closer to becoming that best version of yourself. Embrace each day as a chance to learn, grow, and chase your dreams. The world needs you to shine brightly, so go out and show up fully and authentically. Take care, and I'll see you next time.